Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Downriver Rescue Connection. I'm your host, Patty Radakovich, and it is my pleasure to bring you the latest information on animal-related topics and the animal rescue community. Today, we are at a very special facility. We are at Friends of Michigan Animals Rescue in Belleville, and I'm here with one of the founders, Marcy LaFramboise.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us to come to your facility. We definitely want to come out to your facility because, first of all, Friends of Michigan Animals Rescue, also known as FMAR, they were one of the rescues that helped Basil's Buddies when we first started. We came out and talked to them, and they gave us some wonderful advice, and they gave us some great needed supplies at the time as well, so we wanted to thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
But another reason why we wanted to film here today is because they are one of the few rescues that actually has their own facility. And so we're going to be talking to Marcy and talking to Pete as well, and then we're going to show you the facility. So Marcy, why don't you tell us a little bit about FMAR and how did it get started?
Pete was retiring, and he never missed a day of work. I asked him what he was going to do. He said he didn't know, so I set off on a mission to find him something to do. I knew he loved animals, so we went to our local humane society and asked what we needed to do to volunteer. So Pete became a dog walker. And it progressed, and Pete became the go-to guy for actually doing rescues and bringing the animals back, and then I became involved in the clinic, which I absolutely loved. So we were there for about 2 years, and a position opened up for executive position, and I applied for it, and they said I didn't qualify. So Pete and I decided that we really wanted to make a difference in the euthanasia rate. So we decided to open our own rescue. A lot harder than we thought. It gave us a better understanding of what everybody does, including humane societies, what they go through every day. So we started in our home in April 2003, and we started stacking cages, and phone calls were coming a dozen at a time. So and it was a brand new home, we had just built it. So we decided that it wasn't large enough. So we put our house on the market, and we went off looking for a farm. And that's where we ended up here.
Great.
In Sumter Township. We were originally in Van Buren Township. Van Buren Township said we needed 40 acres. Sumter Township said you need 5 and we really want you here.
Right.
So we found this facility with 2 barns, not this one. This one was actually an add-on that was donated for free. And we started renovating the first smaller barn for the dogs, and then we added on for the cats. We thought when we first started we would have 20 cats and maybe 5 or 6 dogs. And it escalated to today I have 120 cats and kittens in this facility alone. Plus our trap neuter release program has, I believe, 15 to 18 kittens inside of there waiting for me.
Okay.
So.
Oh, that's a great story, and so obviously you proved them wrong that you weren't qualified to be executive director.
I don't know, some days I don't feel qualified, but other days it's a passion. It's turned into a passion.
And people are really glad that you've done this. You've helped a lot of other rescues, and I think a lot of rescues look to you guys as a model for what it is that they can do and what they want to do. So we want to thank you for that and for having the courage to do that and to build this facility. So right now we are in we're in the cat barn, and the room that we're in right now is the adult cat room.
Correct.
So just tell us a little bit about this room. There's an interesting mural and everything with the whole story
The
behind
Girl
it.
Scouts actually asked if they could paint, this wall was white, and they asked if they could paint a mural on the wall, and we said sure. And it took them a little over a year, and it progressed slowly, but as you can see, it's turned out pretty nice, I think.
Yeah. And so this is one of the rooms that the adult cats hang out in. And about how many adult cats would you say you have at any given time on average?
Well, we like to keep about 50 to 60.
Okay.
We have 80 now.
Okay. So definitely want people to come on out and
Yes.
look for some adoptions. And you can see the cats really love the room. They've got toys on the floor. They've got shelves they can climb on, windows that they can look out. And if they want to look out even more windows, you guys have a catio as another room, right?
We do, and they can enter either through the little window there or the big door.
Right, so we're going to head on out to the catio. this is your catio room, and as you can see, you've got nice windows for the cats to look at, shelving units, so anything a cat would want. You've got bird feeders out there for the cats to watch the birds.
We
So,
actually have a groundhog or a possum or something that keeps knocking them over and eating the food. But this is our, this door wall here leads to the dog play area.
okay,
So the
Right.
cats used to be able to watch the dogs and vice versa. It was like having a big screen TV. But the state asked us to put up a new fencing so that kids can stick their fingers in.
okay, great. And I know you have a separate room too for cats that are on special diets, so you can keep those separate. Would you like to introduce us to some of the cats that are available for adoption? Are there ones that have been here for a little bit of time that maybe you want to highlight?
Most of the adult cats have been here, started out as kittens, not all of them. This is Jericho. We've had Jericho for a couple of years. Very friendly, very loving. And then we have Mr. Dean, who came in a box on my door, was put in a carrier with his brother. We have Frank and Dean, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. And then we have Autumn's been here the longest. Autumn's been here about 8 years. She's very shy, but she's very sweet. So she would like us a quiet home all to her own little couch. This is Stevie. Stevie is one that will stay with me always.
Okay.
We have a rule. If you choose not to use the litter box, then you choose to stay here.
Oh, okay.
And not adopt. So,
Yes,
and then
most people don't want to adopt a cat that
yes.
doesn't use the
And if
litter
we know
box.
for sure that they don't use the litter box, then they become permanent residents.
Okay.
So this is Mischief. I've had her since she was about a pound, and she was caught inside a garbage can eating the garbage, and she had destroyed the whole side of her mouth. So she only has half a jaw. So, and she's been adopted and brought back twice. She doesn't like dogs very much.
Okay.
So
And you know, you're familiar with most of the cats because you're here all the time, but I see you also have collars on them so that people can tell the cats apart. Which
yes, we have a book that has a picture of every cat, and it has all of their information on it, their medical information, even where they came from, if we've got them from our trap neuter release program or if somebody turned them into us. So all that information is in this booklet. And so when you come to visit a cat, we carry the booklet with us,
Okay.
and then you look on the collar for who they are and can look them up alphabetically and find out their history,
Great.
what we know about their history.
Now, what is your adoption process, just so people know?
Our adoption process is, we ask that if you rent, you bring us something from your landlord that says that you can have a cat or a kitten and how many you can have. And we double check with the landlord to make sure. And if you have any other family members, the entire family must come. For our dog adoptions, if you have another dog, you must bring your dog with you. And even if you're grandparents who have their grandchildren once a month, every weekend or whatever, we also require that those grandchildren come as well. We look for signs of being afraid, either the animal afraid of the people that have come to visit or the children being afraid of the animals. Those are two, maybe this isn't going to work. And maybe put them over to a quieter animal or an animal, if they've got very rambunctious children, maybe an animal like a cat that doesn't mind if you pick them up and carry them around. So we try to choose the right animal for the family. We also offer temporary sleepovers to families if we're still not sure, they're not sure. So what they do is they put down the fee of the adoption and they take the animal home with their paperwork. And once they've had them for 3-4 days, we call, see if everything's going well. If everything's going well, then we set up an adoption. If it's not going well, they either bring the animal back and take another one, or they move on to something else. But we do our best to set up things to work, not to fail.
Right.
And it has to be right. You know,
Right.
if it grabs your heart and it's the right thing, it's probably going to work. So we do our best.
Great.
Our return rate is probably about 5%, which is lower than the national average, which
That's
is
great.
10.
That's great. Well, thank you for showing us the adult cat rooms, and I think at this point we're going to move into the special kitten rooms, because you do keep the kittens separate. So we will go into the kitten room, and we will be right back with you in just a moment.
So this is our kitten room. This is where the kittens, once they reach the 2-pound level, or 8 to 9 weeks, they're spay and neutered, and we test, vaccinate, and microchip them, and then they come into this room to play. Most of our kittens are from our trap, neuter, release program, where we go into the trailer parks and condos and the farms. There's a lot of farms around here, and we trap the cats and kittens. We spay and neuter them and put them back where they were found. However, if the kittens are too little, or they're very friendly kittens, we bring them back into our shelter and we put them up for adoption. So that's what this room is.
Great. So now the reason that we had to cut with the filming is because to get into the kitten room there's actually a double door system, and a lot of people that don't have a facility aren't familiar with that. So just briefly explain why you would have a double door.
We have what's called airlock doors, which are double door with a breezeway type entry, so that when you go into the first door, you shut it behind you before you open the second door. That way, if the cats or the kittens try to get into the other rooms, you can catch them before they get all the way into the other rooms. It keeps the, everything is cleaned separately, and all the litter boxes and the scoops and everything are separate, so we don't want to mingle anything so that any cat gets something from another group. That's how we try and keep them healthy.
Great. As you can see, the kittens love jumping on the shelves and going around the room and playing with all their toys and everything. So the kittens are having a good old time in this room. And there is a couple of adult cats in here as well.
There are a few of the very quiet cats that weren't doing well in the adult room, so we brought them into the kitten room where they could get away and just be more themselves.
Great. And so because you had already mentioned the TNR, which is the trap, neuter, return, where a lot of these kittens came from, we are actually going to go look at your TNR barn, and you can talk about the program when we get out there. So we will be right back with the TNR facility. All right, as we were walking across to the TNR barn, Marcy told me an interesting story about the cat barn. Unfortunately, it's raining outside today, so we can't actually show you the outside of the barn, but I wanted to tell you guys the story of how they got this additional cat barn. So why don't you tell the viewers?
Pete and I were on our way home from somewhere one day, and I saw some abandoned houses, and they had a beautiful barn in the back, a pole barn. So I sent Wheezy off on a mission to find out who owned the property and what they were going to do with the barn. I sent them a packet, and they responded and asked me what I planned on doing with the barn, and I told them I wanted to put cats in the barn. And he told me if I could find somebody to move it, that I could have it. So we found Gasper Recycling down the road had put in a bid to demolish the houses that were boarded up, and he said, if you can get me the bid, I'll move the barn for free. So we got him the bid, and we set off. Gasper cut the poles off of the barn, put it onto a flatbed trailer, and we walked behind it for 6 miles and put it back in the ground and renovated it as you see it today.
Great, and I wanted to tell that story because I want other rescues to realize that sometimes you have to be creative, and you may not know that there is a solution out there for you. There might be something you really want or you really need, and you just have to ask. That's really what it comes down to. If you see something that you think might work, it doesn't hurt to ask. The worst that can happen is somebody says no. And in this case, it worked out well, and we were just inside that cat barn.
Yeah, and as a nonprofit, you're always asking for things.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, just when you think it's not going to happen, something happens and you get everything you need.
Exactly. So here we're going to go into the TNR barn where they have some of the feral cats that are part of the trap, neuter, return program. And this barn is actually one that Pete built because you needed a facility, so he used his handy skills to build it.
And it's made so that when we start to renovate this barn, we can actually put the forks underneath it and move it outside.
Great. So why don't we go ahead and let's go inside the facility.
So TNR, trap, neuter, release. These are feral or wild cats. Now there are kittens. This has also become our holding area for the friendly kittens that we've taken from TNR and have decided to keep. But because they're not spay or neutered or tested or vaccinated yet, they're kind of in a hold pattern.
Okay, and I know you said a lot of your TNR animals are at the vet right now getting fixed.
Yes.
So what's the process for TNR? How does that work? Can you explain that?
Do you want to explain or you want me to explain?
I can explain.
This is Wheezy, one of the volunteers, so thanks for talking to us.
Oh, no problem. TNR stands for Trap, Neuter, and Return. People, mostly barns and people, mobile park homes and things like that, they find these stray cats running around and they don't realize how fast they multiply, and then they might have 13 to 15, maybe even up as high as 25, I think we've done at one person's house. So when they realize that they're way over their heads, they call us and we trap them. A lot of them are semi-friendly, and we trap them in one of these cages here, which is a completely humane cage.
Also known as a live trap.
A live trap. And then we take them to Huron Valley Humane Society and we get them neutered. They also get a 1-year rabies shot, and they also get their left ear clipped, which is a universal sign so that anybody else knows that they have already been spayed or neutered and they don't have to go through that process again. We'll bring them here until we take them to Huron Valley, and then when they come back, females stay with us for 3 days until their incision really starts to heal up good, because we're assuming that they're outside cats. And then we take them back to where we got them from. Some people don't want them back, and we've started a barn buddy program where anybody who has barns and would like something to help catch the mice, yet they have shelter and they intend to feed them, we can change them, move them over to those sites.
And how many would you say that you TNR every month?
This year we've done 245 since January. Last year we did 306. The year before that we did a little over 200. And that's in, Van Buren, Monroe, Belleville, Sumter Township area. We've gone a little bit out to Westland. We've extended a little bit out to Inkster now, trying to help some of the other people that we've met that really do this on their own.
Right.
Try to help them out when we don't have appointments for our area.
Right, and that's with the numbers like that, and this is just in your area, but that's a really important message to remember to spay and neuter your pets. A lot of times people let their cats go outside. We do recommend that if you have a house pet that it stays inside your home, but a lot of times people do let their cats go outside, and if they're not fixed, it's very easy for them to mate with other cats that are out there. Or unfortunately, sometimes people they move and they leave their cats behind and they're not fixed or just ferals, and that's why it's really important to spay and neuter your own pets, as well as to become involved in the TNR program so that you don't have the multiplication in all of these animals. That really speaks to the reason why a lot of us do this. Most of the animals, I should say, that are euthanized every year in shelters are cats. Over 75% are cats. So it really is important to spay and neuter, and if you see a feral, you can contact various organizations to find out how to do TNR. So we're going to now move into the dog area. So we've seen the adult cats, the kittens, in the TNR facility, and so we'll be right back with you with a couple other dogs. We're now inside the dog barn with Pete. This is the other half of Marcy. So he's also founder of FMAR. This is the Pete we were talking about. So if it's a little bit noisy, it's like I said, we're in the dog barn. So thanks for talking to us today, Pete.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit, how many dogs on average do you guys have a month?
Every month I have 14 kennels and I try to keep them full.
Great.
So unless one gets adopted, 14. Now I do have 2 in one kennel. So sometimes I do double them up. But on average, it's 14 kennels, 14 dogs.
With your kennels, like you have the inside and they have an outside kennel, but the outside is covered, correct?
Yes. It's, you can't see one another on either side.
Okay.
But it's open to if they walk out and they look straight out, they can see out.
Okay. So you can can go inside or outside as they see fit. You also have a play area for the dogs, correct?
Yes, we do. It's about an acre. It's fenced with privacy fence, and every single one of them get to go out there. And then we have dedicated dog walkers that come out and they walk. So if they don't get to be walked like rainy day today, they were out, but just briefly. They don't seem to want to go out when it's raining. We've got them spoiled so bad. But usually they go out in the yard for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. We just rotate them around.
Okay. And what types of dogs do you have?
Primarily mixed breed. Yeah, I call them purebred mutt.
So we'll show the viewers what some of the dog kennels look like. And so you can see the little doors that go out the back, so the dogs are free to go in and out as they please. And again, the outside is covered, so even if they do choose to go outside, they're not going to get all wet. And this also helps when the volunteers are cleaning out the kennel, because they can close that door off. They can go into one side of the kennel, clean that, and then let the dog out to the other side, and then clean the other part of the kennel. So these are some of the dogs that we have here. Today, all different mixed breeds of dogs. And Marcy had already explained the adoption process to us. So if somebody's looking for an animal, they can go onto your website, or they can go on to Pet Finder and find you guys there. You guys do a lot of events as well, so they may find you at festivals.
That's it. Strawberry Festival every year, Centerfest every year. The one in Ann Arbor that the Pet Emporium puts on, we go to that one every year.
Great.
So.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and thank the dogs for cooperating.
Yeah.
So it's another great facility that you have here.
Thank you.
Great, so we'll be right back in just a few minutes. We've decided to brave the elements underneath an umbrella so that you guys can see the facilities that they have here. So these are the outside of the kennel facilities, and we're going to go into the play area, but our cameraman, Pat, is actually a volunteer here at FMAR, so he's going to explain to you some of the duties of a dog walking volunteer here at the FMAR facility.
So as Patty said, this is the outdoor area where the dogs can come out free. If they want to go inside, they can go inside. We are now approaching the yard where the dogs can go play. It's about an acre large, and they can go in, generally they go in one at a time unless they're get-along buddies. And they just have so much room here to play.
So
And right now it's kind of like a lake, but when it's dry they have a good old time out here. All the dogs love it. The volunteers, the dog walkers can bring them out there and they play ball, they play fetch, they have frisbees, and the dogs get plenty and plenty of exercise. They're not lacking in exercise.
And as you can see, they have some agility equipment that's out here as well. So we just wanted to show you guys the facility that the dogs have at their availability, so you know that they're not left in kennels all day. So thank you, Pat, for letting us know about that.
So on this area that we are approaching is the outside of the kennels where the dogs can go. And as you can see, they're very energetic because it's raining. So that's their outside area. And the volunteers clean inside and they clean outside. Very clean here.
All right, well, we're going to be right back to wrap up the show. This is one of the other projects that the volunteers have worked on. These are right outside all of the barns in this lovely flower garden. So if you're interested in volunteering at all, there's many jobs that you can do here at the facility. Everything from groundskeeping, dog duty, cat duty, volunteering with the TNR program. I'm sure they need some help with their administrative work too. So if you're interested, you can check out their website, which we will have at the end of the program and up on the screen. And you can just look for FMAR and contact Marcy and Pete and let them know you're interested in volunteering. I wanted to thank Pete and Marcy for allowing us to come out to Friends of Michigan Animals Rescue. You have a wonderful facility here, and thank you for giving us a tour and for explaining to the viewers all about your facility. It's a wonderful story that you guys have, and I'm glad that you guys have set up your facility. You're quite an inspiration to the rescues that are out there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So remember that with rescue, we always look forward to a day when all animals are treated like family and everyone has a home. Until that time, we invite you to be part of the solution. And remember, please spay
And neuter your pets.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.